Hello again everyone. I just want to make a quick update video on the progress of my flight simulator. It's been I think more than a month since my last video. So I just want to show you what I've been doing. So as you can see, I've taken off the cockpit, the shell. It's standing over there on its nose. I haven't been doing too much. I've installed the other yoke. Also, I can't remember if this was in the previous video, but all the buttons are also installed this side and that side for the trim. Same on the co-pilot side, and they do work. The yoke still needs some bungee cord in order to centralize them, because at this stage if you pull them out or push them in, they just remain in the last position. Same with the turning, they don't spring back to center. Another thing that I've done, I can't remember if this was in the last video, but the trimmers, all the trimmers are working now. So the elevator trim, pitch trim is working. Same for the rudder trim and the trim for the ailerons. These trimmers, they use the potentiometers from, or rather the encoders. They don't use potentiometers, they use encoders from this GoFlight landing gear module. I took them out from the original panel and I placed them inside these bigger trim wheels. And I can show you the mechanism, or how I mounted these potentiometers. Just give me 2 seconds. I'm back and I've opened up the aileron trim so that you can have a better look what's going on. There's the little encoder on a circuit board that comes from the GoFlight module. I've 3D printed this bracket so that it can be mounted with 2 screws, and it just goes into the little encoder just goes into the trim wheel. It's a bit dark and it has a locking screw over there that holds it on. So that's how it works. Pretty simple, not too complicated. Also has a 6mm shaft that helps to support it. A couple of other things I've done. I've also made this parking brake. So if you pull it out, then the parking brake is activated. If you push it in, the parking brake is off. And it's a pretty simple mechanism. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but I can try and show you. There it is. It's also just a 3D printed bracket with a micro switch and with a 6mm rod that goes through it. And as you push it in, there's a little notch on the shaft which activates the micro switch. It might have been better to use a linear potentiometer, but I don't have one, and I had a micro switch, so I just used the micro switch for now. But I can always change it in the future. It's a pretty simple mechanism. So yeah, and it will work for now. I've turned this brass knob myself on the lathe. Another thing is this flap lever. It's a bit dark. Okay, now you can see better. This flap mechanism, I was originally going to use the flap mechanism that came with the GoFlight module, but it seemed a bit cheap, so I've made my own. It's all 3D printed, and it's a 4-stage flap selector, so it's 10 degrees, 20 and 30 degrees. You need to pull it out and lift it to get it in the notches. Okay, so this is the flap mechanism. It's all 3D printed, except for the bolts, or the nuts and bolts. But other than that, it's all 3D printed. It has, on this side, it has a potentiometer with a little gear, and it has a bigger gear on the lever, just to get more rotation out of the potentiometer. And the way it works is the flap lever is connected to the bigger gear via 2 screws, and the holes are slotted, so you can pull the lever in and out around the notches. It's a bit difficult to demonstrate with one hand, so you pull the lever out and you place it in the other notch, and it works quite well. I was afraid it was going to feel a bit plasticky and cheap, but it feels quite sturdy and strong. I've printed the lever with quite a high infill percentage. I think it was 30%, so it's quite solid when you move it. It doesn't feel too plasticky. So yeah, that's my flap mechanism. Also, if you're interested in this mechanism, I'll leave a link in the description, in the video description, to where you can download the STL files. One last thing I want to show you guys is at the back of the yokes. I've finished, well, it's almost finished, the mechanism for the dual yokes. They do work now. It does make a bit of a noise, but I'll see what I can do about that. I've also connected the potentiometers to the aileron axis with 2 3D printed gears. So if you move the ailerons, they can move the potentiometers. As for the elevator, I've made this 3D printed bracket with a potentiometer and a big gear which moves along a rack. As the control yokes move in and out, the gear moves against the rack. Yeah, that's about it.